We're reading The Giver for Banned Book Club. For this section, we read chapters 16 and 17. This was after Jonas had the memory of warfare, what it is like to actually be in war. The Giver went pretty easy on him after this because that was so horrible for Jonas to experience. He hadn't experienced anything like that. He learned about a birthday party, about, quote, the joy of being an individual, special and unique and proud. He had visited museums and seen paintings filled with all the colors he could now recognize and name. In one ecstatic memory, he had ridden a gleaming brown horse across a field that smelled of damp grass and had dismounted beside a small stream, which both he and the horse drank cold, clear water. He learns what the Giver's favorite memory is. It is of Christmas, of a family being around, like the hearth, a fire, and he recognizes that there is this different level of intimacy and care that this family has as compared to his own family or the other families in their community. This is a quick excerpt on that. Jonas opened his eyes and lay contentedly on the bed, still luxuriating in the warm and comforting memory. It had all been there, all the things he had learned to treasure. What did you perceive? The Giver asked. Warmth, Jonas replied, and happiness. And let me think, family? That it was a celebration of some sort, a holiday, and something else I can't quite get the word for it. Yeah, and then he learns that it's love, the word love. He learns about grandparents, that families like stick together, and yeah, this is where he learns that it's love. I certainly like the memory, though I can see why it's your favorite. I couldn't quite get the word for the whole feeling of it, the feeling that was so strong in the room. Love, the Giver told him. Jonas repeated it. Love. It was a word and concept new to him. And so now he realizes what he's missing in his everyday life. And so this is him after learning about the concept of love. He is talking to his family. Father, Mother, Jonas asked tentatively after the evening meal. I have a question I want to ask you. What is it, Jonas? His father asked. He made himself say the words, though he felt flushed with embarrassment. He had rehearsed them in his mind all the way home from the annex. Do you love me? There was an awkward silence for a moment. Then Father gave a little chuckle. Jonas, you of all people. Precision of language, please. What do you mean? Jonas asked. Amusement was not at all what he had anticipated. Your father means that you used a very generalized word, so meaningless that it's become almost obsolete, his mother explained carefully. Jonas stared at them. Meaningless? He had never before felt anything as meaningful as the memory. And then his mother goes on to say, Do you understand why it's inappropriate to use a word like love? Jonas nodded. Yes, thank you, I do. It was his first lie to his parents. And then Gabriel, the little baby that's staying with them, that they're taking care of, he's also giving memories to Gabriel. He actually has the capacity to accept them. Jonas also is not taking his medication, which is supposed to help with like stirrings, which is just like arousal, horniness, as he's going through puberty. And then he starts to realize after not taking these pills that like he starts to have dreams that are more physical in nature, that he starts dreaming about Fiona, his friend, and that it makes him embarrassed and he doesn't really know why, but he also like likes the feelings, which I think is like very real to life, what it's like being a teenager, experiencing those things. He reminisces about how his family, they have this section of the day where they go over their dreams in the morning, and then at night they talk about their feelings and how the day went. And he realizes that these like feelings that his family is talking about, they aren't like they aren't the entirety of these emotions, that they're missing out on a lot of things. So, for example, Lily had not felt anger. Lily is his younger sister. And all of these people are assigned to families, so they're not biological. Assigned by the government. Jonas realized now. Shallow impatience and exasperation, that was all Lily had felt. He knew that with certainty, because now he knew what anger was. Now he had in the memories experienced injustice and cruelty, and he had acted with rage that welled up so passionately inside him that the thought of discussing it calmly at the evening meal was unthinkable. And it's very lonely for him. The more he's learning, the more he is feeling isolated because he can't relate to the people around him, and he realizes like how flat and not with depth all of their lives have. That was a weird way of saying that, but hopefully you know what I mean. And then he confronts these kids who are playing like a battle, and he, especially after recently getting this memory of war and warfare and the suffering that is involved, it really upsets him that he's like, I didn't realize this game that we were playing was mimicking war. And it says, feelings surged within Jonas. He found himself walking forward into the field, and he just stands there because he is having this flashback to the memory. And then the people around him act annoyed. They're like, you're ruining the game. And then he says to his friend, he's trying to explain why he's upset. Asher, Jonas said, he was trying to speak carefully and with kindness to say exactly what he wanted to say. You had no way of knowing this. I didn't know it myself until recently, but it's a cruel game. In the past I said I apologize, Jonas. Jonas sighed. It was no use. Of course Asher couldn't understand. So he reminisces, or he thinks about how he feels a lot of love for his friends and that they can't possibly feel that back for him, and it makes him very sad. The baby, Gabriel, is starting to actually speak. He's making some improvements because he is able to stay with Jonas. And it really is exemplary of how you don't know what you don't know. Talking about ignorance, as we were just discussing with Rousseau, that there are these larger powers that make it so we don't know what we're missing out on, whether it's in this fictional situation, or like we don't understand emotions, or we don't understand what we're missing out on when it comes to having more of a dignified life, especially when we are living under capitalism and hetero, cis, ableist patriarchy, that once we start to deconstruct these things... Hi, bud. Where'd you go? Hey. He's coming in to visit. That you realize how... Hey, what are you doing? They're fighting. I don't know why. But as we deconstruct these systems of oppression, realizing that the world doesn't have to be this way, it radicalizes us, makes us realize that there is so much that is being held from us intentionally.